Hello, hello, and welcome to RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged, and today, category is 100% Redemption. I had completely, and I mean completely, given up on this season when I heard about the Queen being disqualified, but this episode has brought me back. This is the best girl groups challenge we've had all year. This might be the best girl groups we've had since UK Hun came out. I know that's a big claim, but I stand by it. Everyone just overall did great. I am so back in terms of interest in the UK version, and today I'm going to be rejudging the episode, so let's get into it. First up, we have Michael Maroli, and I think she did really well, as is the case with a lot of the queens here. Starting off with the runway, I think she had great execution. It's not my personal favorite, but that's more of me instead of it being a bad look. In terms of her verse and performance, it's on the screen right now. She did well. It's not my favorite, but it is definitely catchy. It is by no means a weak verse in any way. It is definitely well above average, especially for UK, the way girl groups has gone recently. Next up, we have Vicky Vivacious. The runway, it's not bad. I just feel like she could have gone a bit further. In terms of verses, this is definitely closer to average compared to the rest of the verses. It just wasn't my favorite. Next up, we have DeeDeeLicious. I think her runway was pretty solid. Bear in mind, this look might be a reference that I'm not getting, but this isn't fully giving me Nicki Minaj. In terms of her verse, I think the first half is really good. It's pretty good until Dee Dee Smash I Shook the Ground. But the end of her verse, stamped face, painted mean, like the mirror wiped the competition clean, it doesn't feel like the end of a verse. Like, I don't know what I mean by that. Like, I can't really explain it, but it's not giving me the end of a verse. It's giving me there's, like, another verse on there that got cut, if that makes sense. Next up, we have Caramel. She was great. Her Beyonce was absolutely beautiful. In terms of her verse, wow, that is awesome. I definitely see why she was one of the winners. I'm Your Action Shiro Sci-Fi Fantasy goes hard. Overall, it's just a really solid verse. However, I wish, and this is not her fault, I wish it was a little bit longer. It's very short compared to a lot of the other verses here. Kind of like how Naomi only had like 13 seconds or whatever in Super Queen. Next up, we have Tamara Thomas. I think doing Elvis on this runway was a really big risk, but I think she pulled it off great with both her look and her execution of it. She had the best verse of the night, in my opinion. I think while her performance was great, her verse was just top tier. I think it flows really well. The rhymes are solid. She's not rhyming like down with down, unlike some people. I think when I inevitably do some form of ranking of my favorite verses, this is definitely going to be on there, and I hope that's not recency bias. Next up, we have Kate Butch. I am so happy and so, I don't even know, about the fact that for her runway, she avoided the honestly obvious choice of doing Kate Bush and instead went with Shania Twain. I think that is hilarious, and I'm so glad she didn't go for the low-hanging fruit. This verse is amazing. This one is also going to end up on my ranking, I hope. Perfect, pretty, poised, whatever. Grab a mic and string a sentence together. I mean, I don't know how she was safe. I do not know how she was deemed safe compared to all the other verses here. Her runway was solid, and this verse is incredible. Next up, Banksy. Runway. 10 out of 10. The best runway of the night. This is incredible. That's all I have to say for now. I will be talking about this and her runways a lot more in a future video. I am not joking when I say that this verse has just been running through my head for the last week. I think it is really solid. I think her accent and, like, delivery of it makes it even better. Once again, I am shocked that she ended up as safe. I do not know why they judged this in teams. Really weird choice. Like a really, really weird choice. Next up, Ginger Johnson. I think the runway is pretty solid. It's Elton John. It definitely gives Elton John. In terms of her verse, I think it is really catchy. Extra points to anyone who criticizes either TERFs and Tories. They in fact make me spew. I just really enjoyed her performance. It wasn't my personal favorite, but still a really solid showing. Finally, we have Miss Naomi Carter. I feel bad for her because she ended up being the worst of the two Beyoncés on the runway that night. I kind of view it as a sister versus a Horta situation. While Sisters and Miss Naomi Carter's looks weren't bad, it's just that they happened to double up and they happened to be the worst of the two. In terms of her verse, it is not my favorite. It's not bad, like it's still average. However, she rhymes "time for a breakdown" with "go glue your lace down" and "take the race down." That is on the same level as Blue Hydrangea rhyming home with home. I have nothing against Miss Naomi Carter. I really enjoy seeing her. However, she rhymed breakdown with down and down. In terms of the actual judging for the episode, I think the best two overall are Kate Bush and Tamara Thomas. And they were both the best on their team, so for me, they are the top two of the week. For the High Queens, we have Banksy. I think her runway really bumps her up in my ranking, as well as her delivery of her verse. Caramel, incredible runway, great verse, overall just really solid performance. Ginger, I also think did really well. I think putting her up here might be a bit controversial, but I really enjoyed it. And then rounding off the high placements, we have Michael. Once again, I think that one might be controversial. I know who I chose for the high placements here is probably going to be pretty controversial, but I'm judging a fair amount of this on how catchy the verse is for me personally. Kate and Tamara lip sync for the win, and I want to say Tamara wins. I don't know. It's just a vibe I get. Also, I think she did the best overall, so she should have the highest placement overall. That said, that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. This episode has brought me back into, like, the UK, so I will be making more videos on the season as it airs. However, for the time being, that's all I have. If you want more non-Emmy nominated content just like this, then I would highly recommend subscribing for more gay